let's continue our conversation on Stoicism. And this really is one section that I've always really liked and that really appeals to me. It relates a little bit to something we talked about, not the last session, but the one before that. But I think this is a very nice metaphor to keep in mind. So we're going over the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. We ended up in book 12, and this is section 9. It's short, but I think it's quite powerful. The model for the application of your principles is the boxer rather than the gladiator. The gladiator puts down or takes up the sword he uses, but the boxer always has his hands and needs only to clench them into fists. I think it's a powerful image. When it comes to Stoicism, or for that matter, any philosophy of life, but this happens to be Stoicism that we're discussing, it should pervade your entire life. You cannot be what I call, and I have also been in the past sometimes, a good weather Stoic. You cannot be or try to practice a philosophy like this only when it's convenient to you. When things go well in your life, it's super easy to be a Stoic. Seneca had a complicated life, was vilified, was exiled twice, in the end was forced to commit suicide by Nero. Seneca therefore struggled a lot in life. But in modern day terms, Seneca was also a millionaire. And Seneca also chose to keep serving an emperor who was completely insane and who was utterly amoral. That's not a Stoic thing to do because it's not a virtuous thing to do. Now, it's easy to say, well, he should have just quit. He should have just called out the emperor. He might have been executed. But then there were Romans who actually did. There were Roman Stoics who actually did that, who did stand up for what they believed in. So in my mind, Seneca is a popular Stoic, and I think he's popular because it's even debatable whether he really was a Stoic, because he was a bit eclectic in his writings, and I have the feeling we should do Seneca after this, maybe go through his moral letters, some of which are very interesting. But it's easy to be Stoic when you have absolutely no financial concerns, when you have power and wealth, when you have all these things. It's not that hard, is it? It's much more difficult to be a Stoic when you suffer, when you actually go through things in life. Epictetus was a slave, became a freedman, opened his school of philosophy, but he was a slave. And there is the story, which may well be apocryphal, that Epictetus's master was twisting his leg, Epictetus's leg. And Epictetus said, if you continue, you will break it. His master did continue. He broke his leg. And Epictetus apparently said, see, I told you so. Now, whether that's real or not real, se non è vero e ben trovato, as the kids say, but whether it's real or not, it illustrates the principle of Stoicism very well. We also Epictetus apparently was limped for the rest of his life. So I mean, that something happened, sure. That's much harder, isn't it? In those situations, to be able to stick to your Stoic principles, I think is a lot harder than to do it when the sun's out, when it's a beautiful day, when everything is going well in your life, and you don't have a care in the world, so to speak. So, what Marcus Aurelius is getting at here, I think, is a very powerful model. If you wish to be a Stoic, or again, stick to any philosophy of life for that mind, I mean, could be, maybe you want to be peripatetic, maybe you want to be a cynic, maybe you want to be whatever, but it must pervade every part of your life. And that's hard, and you will struggle. I struggle, and you will mess up. I mess up. But if you look at this as being a boxer as opposed to being a gladiator makes a difference. Because a gladiator walks around, does whatever he wants to do, then goes into the arena, picks up a sword, starts to fight. A boxer doesn't have to pick up the sword. A boxer has his hands, or her hands, and can put them up whenever the boxer chooses. If you are able to achieve that state, I'm not quite sure if I'm there. I think I'm probably not. I'm getting better, but I don't think I'm quite there. But if you're able to do that, then whenever you want, whenever the situation arises, you're immediately at the ready. And through practice and repetition and practicing again and again, it'll become easier to do that. That I have found. It becomes much easier. It'd be awesome if one day you don't mess up anymore, but I don't think that's possible, because then you would be a sage, which is something to aspire to, but I don't think any of us will ever achieve that. But you can try to be like that, and at the very least you can try to remember that if you truly internalize these Stoic principles. Some things are within your control, some things are not within your control, right? It's not the things that bother you, but your thoughts about those things that bother you. How you process the world, that is what makes up your reality. It doesn't really matter what other people say. That's the hardest one for me. It doesn't really matter what other people say. You choose how you respond to that, how you let that affect you. These principles, by practicing them again and again and again, you can have them at the ready immediately, as opposed to having to pick up the sword and unsheathing it, all that stuff. And that, I think, is to me what makes Stoicism such a powerful philosophy, that you can have it at hand all the time. It doesn't require any specific rituals. You don't have to, and this is not meant in an offensive way, but you don't have to pray to get something or perform this ritual to get something. You can do it straight away. You can have it at the ready straight away. And that, I think, is very interesting. And it is something that makes this such a powerful philosophy, because you can apply it to all the aspects of your life, the smaller aspects as well as the bigger aspects. You just need that practice. You need to practice and keep practicing. And through that practice, you might one day become a boxer and have this at the ready all the time. And then it's not like unsheathing a sword anymore. That was kind of what I had in mind, and I don't want to repeat myself, so I don't want to keep talking if I don't have to. What do you think of the analogy of the gladiator and the boxer? Is this something that you found works for you? And how do you apply it? How do you keep these principles at the ready? Just some thoughts. I hope this was interesting and useful, and I will gladly see you again next week for more talk about Stoicism. Bye!